Hello and welcome to your 30 minutes full body sculpt class. Today's class, you can grab some weights. I'm grabbing 3-pound dumbbells here, but of course, weights are optional for this class. To start, let's go ahead and come into our beautiful seated position, keeping your shoulders away from those ears, relaxing the jaws, inhaling on the way to the top, and bringing your arms overhead, exhaling to bring those arms back down into our starting position by your hips. Let's do that a few more times, inhaling to reach the arms overhead and exhaling to bring the arms back down into the sides. Inhale, flipping the palms over, really reaching up towards the sky, and exhalation to bring your arms and fingertips back down to the floor. Inhaling to reach up, lengthen the crown of the head, and on your next exhalation, bringing the hands back down to the floor, and we're coming into our side bend. On your next inhalation, right palm lifts up towards the left into lateral bend, and exhalation to switch sides. Now the left palm flips up towards the sky and bending onto our right side. And inhalation, again, to reset through the center line, to reach now the right arm back to the sky. If you do find that your hips or your legs do move, not going as deeply in the side bends and just going as deep as possible until you feel a nice stretch without the hips and the legs moving. We'll do this for one last time on each side, inhaling and exhaling deeply and with control. Last time, inhale, really feeling the rib cage with the breath, and on your next exhalation, resetting back into the center. Right palm will now meet the left knee, and the left fingertips will be behind you with a slight bend in the elbow to come into our spinal twist. The eye gaze will be looking towards that left shoulder, and on your next exhalation, bringing the arms back up to the sky and switching sides. Now the left palm meets the right knee, and the right arm is slightly bent on the inhalation, looking back towards that right shoulder, and on the exhalation, returning back into the center, and twist now to the opposite side, and taking this at your own comfortable pace, perhaps even closing the eyes if that feels comfortable. And on your next inhalation, doing this one last time on each side, lengthen the spine in the center, and exhaling to twist to our first side so you can get a little bit deeper through the abdomen in the twist. Inhale through the center and exhaling to switch to the other side. And on your next inhalation, reaching the arms overhead, bringing the palms back into heart center. And let's go ahead and transition onto all fours. Once on all fours, making sure that your toes are hooked onto the floor, your fingertips are away from each other. Inhaling, bring your eye gaze slightly forward with the belly down. And exhalation, tucking the chin back into the chest, scooping the belly up for cat. Inhaling to meet back into cow, lifting the eye gaze forward. And exhalation, chin tucks into the chest, navel draws up towards the sky for cat. 3 more times. Inhale forward and exhaling to reach back, really feeling the heat in the abdomen every time. Inhaling forward and exhaling back. Last time here, make this your best round. Inhale to really lengthen through the heart and the eye gaze. Exhaling to reach that navel up towards the sky. Now on your next exhalation, resetting back. This is where we meet in the starting position, but here we're going to start with the opposite hand and the opposite leg, starting with the right hand. Left leg lifts, bringing it up towards the sky and tapping at the bottom. Exhaling to tap and inhaling to reach up towards the sky. For my friends who choose to stay in body weight, feel free to continue on. But for my friends who are grabbing that weight, let's go ahead and grab it now for a little bit of an added challenge. Inhaling to reach the arm and the opposite leg nice and evenly here. making sure with every up and down repetition, that core and the back is stabilized here. We are shooting for 8 to 10 great reps today. We have last 3, 2 more, breathing deeply here, last 1, and we hold right here. You can do it. Keep going. And let's go ahead and slowly now place the arm and the leg back down, and we'll switch to the other side. If you're using the dumbbell, we are switching the dumbbell back into the opposite hand. Inhale at the top and exhaling to tap on the bottom. Great work, everyone. And as we go through the sides, you might notice that one side can be different than the other. Not judging the sensations, but simply continuing on to squeeze the belly, the navel up towards the sky, and the glutes to stabilize through the midsection, making sure nothing really moves to the side, but everything stays in that midline. Last 3 reps. Keep going, everyone. You got it. Breathing deeply here, and we hold right here. Nice deep inhale through the nose, deep exhalation out through the mouth. And let's go ahead and slowly now bring yourself back into a well-deserved child's pose. For child's pose, bringing the knees apart widely and sitting your hips to your heels. Fingertips can be lifted or bringing the palms all the way to the floor. And on your next inhalation, slowly now, coming back into our starting position where we're going to go ahead and start into our plank series. So walking your feet back into high plank. Inhale here. And exhalation to bring your hips up nice and high. Chin comes towards your chest into our first downward facing dog or hip hike. Perhaps lifting the heels up and down to get a little bit deeper in towards the calves and the legs. And your next inhalation, meeting back into high plank. Exhaling to push yourself back into hip hike, perhaps bending one knee and the other to get a little bit deeper in downward facing dog. And inhale back into our beautiful and strong high plank position. Navel draws in towards the spine. And exhalation back into downward facing dog. Beautiful work, everyone. Just like this, 3 more times. Inhale forward. And exhaling to push back. See if you can get a little bit deeper in that downward facing dog with every repetition. Beautiful work. Inhale forward into strong high plank. And exhalation to push back into downward facing dog. And on your next inhalation, meeting back into high plank, stepping your feet a little bit closer, bending into the elbows for chaturanga, flipping the toes back onto the earth for upward facing dog, and bringing yourself back into downward facing dog. Now for my friends who would not like to take the full chaturanga, you can feel free to bring your knees down first into zigzag line, elbows next to your midline, scooping up into cobra, and exhalation to bring your toes back to the earth and shifting back into downward facing dog. And coming back into inhalation through high plank, either variation, upward dog or cobra here, and exhaling to push back into downward facing dog. One last time through inhalation, high plank or zigzag, upward facing dog or cobra, and exhalation to push back into downward facing dog. This time, downward facing dog will stay here for a longer time. See if you can get a little bit deeper in this pose by bringing your heels down a little bit closer to the ground, pushing your upper body towards the hips. Navel draws in a little bit deeper, and see if you can really push down with all 10 fingers, all 10 toes, a little bit deeper in towards the floor. Nice work, everyone. Last full cycle of breath here. And on your next inhalation, let's go ahead and come back into high plank. If you are using the dumbbells, let's go ahead and grab it now. Opposite hand reaches back to the opposite leg and bringing it back down into high plank. Coming back into hip pike on an exhalation, opposite hand to opposite leg, and switching sides every time. For my friends who have been finding it difficult to come into this full high plank to hip pike, feel free to come onto your knees and we'll perform this exact same movement on our knees, except we will not be doing a downward facing dog, but instead we'll reach the arm towards the knee and still perform the same movement for the diagonal transverse abdominis line, just in a little bit more of a varied position. Wherever you are doing great. Keep going, everyone. We are almost there. We just have a couple more repetitions on each side. Keep breathing through it, inhaling through the high plank and exhaling through the back position, either the downward facing dog or the hand to the knee. And we'll do this one last time on each side, reaching opposite hand to the opposite leg and hip pike, and switch. Last time, opposite hand, opposite leg, diagonal line, and slowly now bringing your knees back down onto the floor. If you need a moment for yourself, feel free to stay in a kneeling position, but once you feel ready, we'll go ahead and transition onto our backs today, where we're gonna go ahead and transition onto not only our abdominal line, but also into our glutes today. Once completely on the floor, making sure that your heels are about 1 fist distance away from your fingertips, they should almost touch, and that your knees are hip distance wide. On your next inhalation, bringing the hips up simultaneously with the arms lifting up overhead, and exhalation to simultaneously bring those hands and those hips down all the way to the floor. Just like that, we'll do this a few more times. Inhale, reaching the arms and the hips up, really lengthen through the spine, and exhaling to bring the hips lower, vertebrae by vertebrae, onto the floor. Inhaling to fill the lungs up with the beautiful air that surrounds us, and exhalation to gently bring the hips and the arms back down to the floor. Great work. Last time, inhaling to bring everything up to the sky, really squeeze your glutes and the core, and exhalation to bring yourself all the way back down onto the floor. Now, if you'd like to take this up a notch and have the dumbbells accessible, feel free to bring 1 dumbbell or 2 dumbbells if you're up for a challenge, and bring it in a horizontal position. For my friends who are just coming into body weight, it will look exactly the same without the weights here. On your next inhalation, bring your hips up and your arms overhead, just like as we were performing earlier. But now we're going to go ahead and exhaling to bring 1 knee in the center with the arms to meet. Switch sides, exhaling to bring the arms and the knees to meet in the center, and inhaling to reset with the arms lengthened overhead. Keep going, everyone, at your own comfortable pace. Keep breathing through it, inhaling to reach up and exhaling to meet your hands with the knees, and keeping your hips lifted the whole time, so you're activating through the back posterior chain and the core. Nice. Keep going, everyone. We have a couple more reps left here, making every single rep your best one today, making sure your hips are nice and high, and bringing your core engaged every time as we lift the knees. And we'll do this one last time on each side, exhaling to bring everything in the center, inhaling to lengthen. Beautiful work, everyone. This is our last time right here. And on your next inhalation, walking the feet a little bit closer to your glutes and keeping the heels lifted. Arms are still lifting overhead, and we are doing a full version of a glute bridge. Inhaling the hips, hovering to the floor, and exhaling to lift all the way up towards the sky. Keeping your navel drawn in towards the low back, so you're protecting that low back the whole time as we're lifting and lowering through the glutes and the hips today. Beautiful work, everyone. Reminder to keep lifting through the heels firmly, toes are firmly to the floor, and the arms are overhead. Last rep right here, and we're going to go ahead and hold it for just a second right here. Keep breathing through it. And now let's do half reps or pulses. So a little tiny pulse down and up, breathing deeply here. Keep going, everyone. Last 3, 2, last 1 right here, and let's go ahead and hold, breathing through it. Smile through it if you have to. 3, 2, 1, and let's go ahead and slowly lowering everything back down to the floor, resetting the spine. If you have the dumbbells today, feel free to set it to the side for just a moment as we go ahead and bring the knees towards the chest, hugging your knees in towards the chest and gently rocking side to side to give a gentle massage for your low back. And perhaps coming into a happy baby position if that feels right for you today, by grabbing a hold of your feet and your arches of the feet with the palms. Feel free to extend and bend through the knees, alternating sides if that feels nice. Or just simply coming into traditional happy baby by just holding this position in the center and really bringing the elbows to push gently towards the inner thighs to gently open through the hips a little bit deeper with every breath. And staying here for a last full cycle of breath here. And on your next exhalation, bringing your hands and your knees back into the starting position. And we'll gently roll onto one side. It doesn't matter which side because we'll hit both sides anyways. But bringing yourself into a low side plank position, making sure that the elbows are in line with the shoulders and making sure that your obliques are lifted with the hips and your shoulders are away from the ears. If you are using the dumbbell, feel free to grab it now or do this body weight, making sure that you're squeezing your core and your glutes by lifting your hips off the floor, keeping your inner thighs together the whole time. Inhale to scoop that arm down and exhaling to bring your top arm into a T position, squeezing into not only your obliques but also into your upper back. Inhaling to scoop down and exhaling to lift the arm nice and strong. The whole time the hips are nice and stable, nothing is moving, just the arms. Really staying tuned with the breath here, especially as we get more tired. Checking in with that bottom hip, making sure it's lifted nice and high as we bring the arm up and down. And on your next exhalation, keeping yourself in that nice tall side plank and bringing your hips about 1 inch down to lower hover and exhaling to lift. Staying nice and strong in these pulses here, keeping the top arm nice and strong and just moving through the hips. Keep going, everyone. Beautiful work. Inhaling as we lower the hips down and exhaling to reach the hips nice and high towards the sky. Last rep coming up right here. And on your next exhalation, let's go ahead and keep the hips nice and high and let's hold. Do not move anything. Keep everything nice and strong and stable. And on your next exhalation, coming into star crunches, lifting the top leg and the arm into a bent position. If the knee and the elbow doesn't touch all the way, no worries at all, but bringing them close in the center line position. Nice work, everyone. Keep the hips nice and strong and lifted up towards the sky and bringing the knees and elbows into the side center. Nice. Looking good. We have last rep right here. And on your next exhalation, keeping the top leg and the arm lifted into extension. Let's hold for last 3, 2, 1. And slowly bringing the knees back down to the earth with the arm. And if you are using a dumbbell for this next series for clamshells, making sure that the dumbbell is rested on the outer thigh here. If not, you'll just be doing this without the dumbbell, but making sure that your knees are lifted off the floor as we open and close. and also making sure your toes and heels are together. Making sure you're elevated through the side waist so you're not sinking down, and pressing your elbow firmly down so you're keeping your spine nice and tall as you're lifting your knees and opening and closing those knees as we come into clamshells. Nice work, everyone. Inhaling to bring the knees together in the center and exhaling to open the knees apart while keeping your heels and toes together the whole time. Last few reps here, making sure that the bottom knee is lifted the whole time. Last rep right here. And let's go ahead and hold it to open, keeping the bottom knee lifted. Last 3, 2, 1. And let's go ahead and slowly close the knees, bringing the legs all the way back down to the floor. And you already know the drill. We have to do this all the way from the top on the other side. Once we are here on the other side, we are going to start with the first exercise in this side plank series, which was again to stack into the knees and the hips. And we are lifting the hips up to stabilize with the top arm. And all we're doing is scooping the arm to hover, inhale at the bottom, and exhaling to lift the top arm up into T. Continuing to squeeze the inner thighs together the whole time, checking in with the shoulder, making sure that the bottom shoulder is away from the ears, really lifting the hips up towards the sky. And we have last 3 reps. Keep going, everyone. You are doing great. The good news is this is our last side. Last rep. Right here, breathing deeply. And on your next exhalation, hold for just a second at the top. And we are coming into our slow and controlled hip dips. Inhaling to hover off the floor and exhaling to lift all the way back up towards the sky. Nothing is moving, just the hips. Really visualize the muscles working here. All of the muscles on the side, both the bottom for the oblique and the top for the lats. And the arms are working here. Great work, everyone. Keep on squeezing the inner thighs together. We have last rep. And let's go ahead and come into little pulses. About half of the rep that we were just doing. Same exact movement, just cutting the movement in half. Looking good, everyone. And on your next inhalation, let's go ahead and extend the legs and the arms up and crunch in the center for star crunch. Again, making sure that the spine is nice and lengthened, and going to bring the elbow and the knee into the midline as far as you can without bringing yourself into a hunched over position. Great work, everyone. Last rep right here, breathing deeply. And on your next exhalation, let's go ahead and extend the arms and the legs out to hold for last 3, 2, 1. And let's go ahead and slowly close the knees and the arm back down and resetting back into clamshells. Last thing before we come into our finale here, open the knees apart, squeeze the toes together, and making sure that the bottom knee is lifted the whole time. Checking in with your side waist and that bottom shoulder, that it's away from the ears, and that side waist is nice and elongated off of the floor. Nice work, everyone. Keep going. We are almost done. Last 2. Last rep right here, and let's go ahead and hold in that open position, keeping the knee off the floor. Breathing, and on your next exhalation, closing the knees, bringing the dumbbell to the side if you had it today, and we'll go ahead and gently come into our last and final exercise of the day, our finale, back into high plank. In the high plank, making sure all 10 fingers and toes are pressed firmly down and your core and navel is drawn back towards your low back. On your next exhalation, stepping one foot out towards the side to tap and inhaling back into center. Alternating sides. Exhale, tap, open. Inhale to close. Alternate exhale, open, and inhale to close. Making sure with every tap that your hips are not dramatically shifting to the side, but it can move a little bit, but the whole idea is to keep everything nice and neutral in the center. Imagine you have a very expensive glass of water, or even better, something like an Air One smoothie, if you're familiar, a very expensive smoothie behind your low back. Do not let it spill. You spent a lot of money to acquire that smoothie or drink that you like, so do not let it fall. Keep going, everyone. And on your next inhalation, let's go ahead and bring both toes in to close and hold. Last 3, 2, 1, and bringing your knees slowly and gently down, and we are done. That is it for today's workout. If you do have some time, feel free to stay with me to perform our cool down back into our lateral side reach. We will be doing both sides, so whichever side is accessible, coming into that beautiful stretch, and see if you can get a little bit deeper by opening through the side of the armpit and lifting it up towards the sky. Nice. And on your next exhalation, we'll slowly transition out of that first side and onto the second side. And see with every breath if you can get deeper and deeper through that top arm and the side. And on your next exhalation, bringing the top arm back into the neutral position, and we'll go ahead and transition onto our seated position for figure 8 stretch. A little bit of a variation of a figure 8, but we'll go ahead and crisscross one ankle towards the opposite knee or the thigh, whichever one it can reach towards, and we'll go ahead and either hold down in the neutral position for the opening of the hips, or you can do what I'm doing by shifting my hips side to side if you'd like to get a little bit deeper to the sides. Stay here for a couple more moments, and we'll gently switch to the other side. On your next exhalation, we'll go ahead and crisscross to the other side, and you might notice that between the sides today, one side can be tighter than the other. Again, not judging the sensations, but just noticing the differences or similarities between the sides, and really feeling that nice opening and lengthening of the hip, especially on the outer portion of the hips. And on your next exhalation, let's go ahead and come into our seated position and coming into butterfly. So bringing the heels and toes together, you can hold on to the toes here and gently allowing your hips and your knees to open to the side. Not forcing the knees down to open to the floor, but letting gravity do its work by gently lowering the knees closer and closer to the earth to really allow through a beautiful inner thigh and groin hip stretch, and breathing deeply. And on your next exhalation, slowly closing the knees together, and we'll go ahead and perform our last stretch, which will be for the hips, but also through the quads and the legs. And we'll go ahead and come into camel by bringing yourself fingertips behind and lifting the hips off the heels. Or if you'd like, you can bring yourself into a kneeling position and looking up towards the sky, bending a little bit more back behind you and interlacing the hands here. Whichever variation, you will be opening through the front line of the body and really relaxing the shoulders down away from the ears. Really feeling everything lifting and lengthening at the same time. Last full cycle of breath here. And on your next inhalation, gently coming back into our seated position, bringing your hands into Namaste. Thank you so, so much for joining this practice with me today. I hope that you enjoyed it. Until next time, have a wonderful day.